Start recording. Camera chooser. Stop recording. Button.
Oh, looks like we're back. Live in the wilds of my dining room. Hold on, I turn off the voice.
Voiceover off.
There we go. That's enough of that racket. So, hello everybody. We're back with another installment of everyone's favorite book club. At least it's mine. The Neill Residence online version. And here we be live, as I said earlier, from the comfort and luxuriousness of my dining room. Please pardon the chatterboxes over yonder in the cage. Hold on. There you go. That's Bud and Gigi, my budgies. They're very aptly named critters. Anyway, I'll prop you up against the clothespins, and we'll get this show on the road. My apologies for the potential for slower than usual reading, as painful as that might be. But with the colder weather and all of the hand washing and all that fun stuff, not to mention all the Christmas baking I've been doing, my fingers are not quite what they once were, and therefore it's harder to read the Braille dots. However, in typical fashion, we will persevere and conquer the world. To get everyone in the spirit of Christmas, we're back again with Here's Hank, because it's really all we have access to right now, and there's a whole bunch of things about him, and he's here, and he's Hank. So, to get everyone into the Christmas spirit, because that's what the season is, here we go. Here's Hank. There's a zombie in my bathtub. That should get everyone into the Christmas mood. Nothing like zombies to get your Christmas spirit flying. By Henry Winkler and Lynn Oliver. Illustrated, as per the usual, by one Scott Garrett. That's the technical stuff out of the way. And here we go with the book. Here's Hank. There's a zombie in my bathtub. Chapter 1. The most fun way to spend the night before Halloween is to watch a scary movie with your best friend, sharing a bowl of popcorn. This is something Frankie Townsend and I have been doing ever since I can remember. We turn out the lights in my living room and put the eight-legged creature from the deep on the TV. Then we make a scary underwater sound. Frankie pretends to be a giant vampire squid. I'm really good at holding my nose and groaning. I don't think any underwater creature actually makes that noise, but I like to do it anyway because it drives my sister Emily crazy. "Hey, Zip," Frankie said to me as we sat in the kitchen eating frozen oatmeal raisin cookies. Call me weird, but I like my cookies frozen. It was Friday night, and the next day was Halloween. Do you think we should invite Ashley to watch the movie with us? Sure, I said. After all, she's our new best friend. Unless you think the movie would be too scary for her. Let's ask her, Frankie said. I picked up the phone and dialed Ashley's number. Big Joe's Hot Dogs, said a man's voice. Where every bite is right. Oops, I guess you went and dialed the wrong number. Excuse me, I said into the phone. I was trying to call Ashley Wong. No one here by that name, Big Joe answered, but if you find her, come on in for our Halloween special. I call it the Halloweener. I could still hear him laughing as I hung up. Without saying a word, Frankie took the phone and dialed Ashley. He knows I'm not the best dialer in the world. I think I've memorized the number, but when I try to dial it, all the numbers get jumbled up in my brain. I talk to a lot of nice people that way, though. When we asked her over for the movie, Ashley said she would love to come. She wasn't scared a bit. She just had to finish gluing the last fake diamonds on her giraffe costume. she'd be right up. If you're wondering why a giraffe is wearing a diamond necklace, you'll have to ask Ashley. Hey, if it works for her, it works for me. We had just hung up the phone when my sister Emily came stomping into the kitchen. She had green cardboard patches hanging all over her body. I give up. She seemed ready to burst out crying. My bony plate is coming loose again. The kitchen door swung open, and my mom came running in after her. She was carrying a glue gun. Come here, Em, she said. I can fix your costume if you give me a minute. What are you supposed to be? I asked Emily. Can't you tell? I'm a Komodo dragon, which, in case you don't know, lives only in Indonesia. Are you going to move there once Halloween is over? I shot back. I heard that, Hank, my dad said, joining us in the kitchen. Don't tease Emily. Halloween is supposed to be fun. Be nice to each other. No problem, Dad, I said. Then, putting on my best smile, I said to Emily, how wonderful that you won't need to wear a mask because it already looks like a dragon. Hank, what did I say? My dad snapped. You owe your sister an apology. Fine, I said. Emily, I'm sorry that I think your face looks like a dragon. Frankie couldn't hold it in any longer, and he cracked up. I knew we had to get out of there fast, or else I'd be grounded until next February. We bolted for the living room to set up for our movie night. Ashley arrived at exactly 7 o'clock. Frankie and I had already gotten out our copy of The Eight-Legged Creature from the Deep. You're going to love this movie. Ashwina, I said, especially the part where the creature gets mad and slaps the water so hard he makes a tidal wave. I've seen that movie, Ashley said. It's not really that scary. I have a better idea. Reaching into her bag, she pulled out another movie and handed it to me. I say, let's watch Attack of the Zombies, she suggested. I glanced at the cover. Two pale, dead-looking zombies were marching toward a house. Inside, a family looked like they were screaming their lungs out. Just look at that picture made my hands start to sweat. If I could barely stand to look at the cover, I could only imagine how much the movie was going to scare me. I don't know, I said, shaking my head. Zombies give me the creeps. The way they walk around moaning and eating human knees and everything. A shiver ran down my spine. I vote for Ashley's movie, Frankie said. I think it'd be good for us to change things up. Zip. Frankie, do you remember the zombie book Miss Finnegan read to us in the library? Yeah. The Mystery of the Zombie Cave. It was cool. Maybe for you, but the story gave me bad dreams all week. I had to sleep on the floor in my mom and dad's room. We were in first grade then, Frankie said. You were just a little kid. Little kids always get scared. I didn't know how to tell Frankie that the thought of that story still made the hair on the back of my neck stand straight up. Besides, Frankie continued, Ashwina and I are right here with you. We won't let any zombies eat you, will we, Ash? Maybe just a toe or two, Ashley said with a laugh. You don't need all 10 toes anyway. Okay, I said, trying to join in the joke. The way my feet smell, no zombie would want to nibble on my toes anyway. That's the Hank Zipzer I know, Frankie said, slapping me on the back. Funny, cool, not afraid of anything. Right, dude? Right, I said, but my brain was screaming, not right, not right, not right! Chapter 2. 5 excuses I could use to get out of watching the zombie movie by Hank Zipzer. 1. I have to go wash my hair. I think I forgot to use shampoo the first time. 2. I have to go wash my dog, Cheerios' hair. I know he forgot to use shampoo. Number 3. I have to finish my homework. Wait, they won't believe that. I never finish my homework. Number 4. The Mets called. They want me to play first base. No, I mean, they actually want me to be the first base. Number 5. I'm too scared to watch the movie about zombies. I can't say that. It makes me feel like a first grader. Chapter 3. Before I could get up the nerve to use even one of those excuses, movie night had started. Ashley took the pillows from the couch and arranged them on the floor for us. Frankie got the movie all set up in the TV. Cheerio settled in on my dad's chair, panting hard like he does when he gets excited. And my dad surprises us by bringing a big bowl of popcorn. Emily, still half covered the scales, followed him. Even though I'm not allowed to watch the movie with you, I helped Dad make you popcorn, she said. Just to show you how nice a Komodo dragon I am. Wow, Mr. Z, Frankie said. That's a whole lot of popcorn. We made extra, my dad said, because Nick McKelty is coming over to watch the movie with you guys. Did he just say Nick McKelty, the biggest bully in our class, was coming over to my apartment? That wasn't possible. My ears must have gone out for a walk. Wait, Dad. None of us invited him. I ran into his father on the street, my dad explained. He and I are going to the neighborhood council meeting tonight. He needed a place for Nick to stay for a couple of hours. Since your mom will be home, I said of course he's welcome here. No, he isn't, I said loudly. Yes, he is, my father said, even louder. This night was getting worse by the second. The doorbell rang and my stomach flipped like a pancake on the griddle. Please, Dad, I begged, tell him we moved Yeah, Frankie chimed in. To Iceland. No, Ashley added. To Pluto. It's the planet farthest away. Pluto is no longer a planet, Emily, the know-it-all dragon, said. It is now known as a dwarf planet. And, if you'd like, I can explain to you why. You know what, Em? I said. Why don't you save it for a rainy day? The doorbell rang again. Fine, Emily said. Have a good time with your movie time with McKelty. Mom and I will be in my room working on my costume. She stomped out, leaving a trail of green cardboard scales behind her. My dad picked them up as he went to open the front door. Standing in the doorway, shoving a jelly donut in his mouth, was Nick McKelty. I've arrived, he grunted. With the red jelly from the donut squirting through his teeth. Now the party can finally start. My dad got his jacket, yelled goodbye, and disappeared into the hallway with Mr. McKelty. Nick the Tick marched his blobby self into the living room and plopped down on the pillows. What are we watching? He asked. To us, the last of the donut in... Oh, hold on. What do we got here? Watching, he asked. So, stuffing the last of the donut into his mouth while his other hand was reaching for popcorn. I wondered if he was going to wipe his jelly-covered fingers on the couch pillows. He wiped them on his pants instead. Attack of the Zombies, Frankie told him. That movie is for babies, he said, with a snort. I've seen it 8 times. Oh, I lied. He's seen it 80 times. Then, maybe you don't want to stay, I said. You could hang out with Emily. She's having a dragon party in her room. You'd fit right in. Your family is so weird, McKelty said. Let's just watch this movie already so I don't have to listen to you guys. That's a good idea, Ashley said. Why don't you sit up on the couch so we don't have to look at the jelly hanging out of your nose? Ashley pressed the play button, and then the movie started. As soon as I heard the scary music, Cheerio started whimpering. Inside, I was whimpering right along with him. I hate scary movies. I tried to hum a tune inside my head to drown it out, but the only one I could think of was 5 little monkeys jumping on the bed. That got too annoying, so I had to stop. And then, there it was again, the creepy music. Cheerio jumped off my dad's chair and ran into Emily's room. Even though I have no interest in cardboard lizard scales, I wanted so badly to go with him. But Ashley was grinning at me and shooting me a big thumbs up sign. She really wanted me to love this movie. I decided I'd try. But not for long. In the very first scene, a bunch of zombies missing hunks of their faces marched into the town. With their arms stretched out In front of them, their low moans sounded like a herd of sick cows. I closed my eyes so I wouldn't have to see the moldy faces. "Hey, zipper butt, you're not afraid, are you?" McKelty said, with his usual mean laugh. "Of course not. Why would you think I'm afraid?" "Because you're covering your eyes." "Oh, one of my eyelashes fell out." They do that sometimes. I wasn't sure if he believed that excuse or not. We went back to watching the movie. By now, the zombies had reached a house and were banging on the front door. The family inside was screaming. I couldn't take it. Before I could stop myself, I crawled under the coffee table and pressed my head into the rug. "What's your problem?" McKelty asked me. "Oh, I dropped a piece of popcorn," I said. Just looking for it." "You eat floor food?" he said. 5-second rule, I shot back. "I always knew you were gross, zipper butt, but that's super gross." "You should talk, McKelty," Frankie said. "You're the one whose mouth always looks like a garbage bin." McKelty wasn't offended by that. He just stuffed another handful of popcorn into his mouth like a hungry hog. To my relief, the zombies couldn't break into the house, so they turned away and left the family alone. I relaxed. Just a tiny bit. Maybe these were nice zombies. Maybe they were just taking a nice walk in the countryside. But then came the part with the goat. The music suddenly got high and screechy. I knew something terrible was going to happen to the poor little goat. My heart started to beat like it was going to fly out of my chest. I can't tell you what happened next because I jumped to my feet and ran out of there as fast as I could. I thought I heard Ashley calling after me, but I didn't turn around. I ran into the bathroom and slammed the door shut. Okay, I confess, I did do a little quick check in the bathtub to see if there was any zombies lurking there. There weren't. I guess they were all in the TV. I took a deep breath and splashed the cold water on my face. "What's wrong with you, Hank?" I said to myself. "It's only a movie." Myself didn't answer. It still felt scared. There was a knock on the door. "Zip," I heard Frankie's voice say. "Everything okay in there?" "Sure, fine. No problem." Why do you ask?" "Well, you've been in there a pretty long time. We stopped the movie to wait for you." "Oh, you don't have to do that for me." I tried to sound calm. Frankie was my best friend. Why couldn't I just tell him that the movie was too scary for me? There was nothing wrong with that. People get scared. It doesn't mean you're a chicken. I opened my mouth to tell him, and here's what came out. "Be right there, Frankie." When I went back into the living room, Ashley whispered, "Are you okay, Hank? You want us to turn off the movie?" Yes, I did. There was my chance, but McKelty butted in and answered for me. "We're just getting to the good part," he said. "I don't want to miss the blood and guts." So I sat there with my eyes half closed for the rest of the movie. I tried to focus on my mom's painting of a bowl of lemons that hung above the TV. Every time there was a zombie attack, I stared harder and harder at those lemons. Pretty soon, even they started to look like zombies to me, drilling yellow faces with rotting skin. I was so happy when the movie finally ended. What I didn't know was that it was just the beginning of a night full of terror. Chapter 4. When I went to bed that night, I closed my eyes like I usually do. But instead of dreaming about me hitting a home run for the Mets, my brain went to Zombie Island. Oh, no, actually it didn't. It went to Zombie Land. There's no I there. I'm going to leave out a lot of the scariest parts of my nightmare because I don't want to close this book and run away screaming. But here are some of the highlights. In my dream, I was about 5 years old. I was at the beach, building a sandcastle when a bunch of zombies came out of the ocean. They had jellyfish for noses, and instead of arms, they were giant octopus tentacles with stingers on the ends of each one. I screamed and ran down the beach. The zombies chased me. As they got closer, I could almost feel their tentacles stinging me. One of them actually wrapped itself around my arm and started squeezing. I used a bit of my strength to break free. I ran for the lifeguard shack, but the faster I ran, the farther away it got. Then I fell face down in the sand. The sand got up my nose, and I couldn't breathe. I felt a cold, slimy tentacle wrap around my ankle and start pulling me closer, closer, closer. And then I woke up. I was screaming, "Let me go! Let me go!" That woke up Frankie. He had been asleep in his Spider-Man sleeping bag next to my bed. "Zip, what are you doing?" he said with a loud yawn. "Running from a zombie attack." "That's nice," he said, still half asleep. "Did they eat your brains?" "I don't think so. I'm still here." I reached up to my head to check if there was any zombie bite marks. There weren't. I leaned down to show Frankie, but he had already fallen back to sleep. I rolled back into the bed and closed my eyes. As soon as I did, there they were again. Zombies. Hundreds of them. Pounding down the hot sand with their tentacles. The terrible drumming sound got louder and louder in my ears. My eyes flew open. It was late, and I was still tired, but there was no way I could fall asleep, not with all those zombies in my room. It was going to be a long, hard night. Chapter 5. I must have eventually fallen asleep, because when I opened my eyes, it was light out. I checked my room to make sure that it was zombie-free. Everything was in its place, except for Frankie. His sleeping bag was empty. Oh no! Did the zombies get him instead of me? I jumped out of bed and called out his name, but there was no answer. Slowly, I tiptoed across the carpet. The movie last night said that zombies are attracted to loud noises, so I wanted to be extra special quiet. I opened the door to my room and looked down the hall. It was empty. I counted to 3 and ran out as fast as I could into the bathroom. I breathed a sigh of relief. Hank, I whispered to myself, your imagination has gone wild. This is not a real movie. This is real life, and you're in your real bathroom. With real toothpaste and a real shower curtain that I'm going to check again right now. I grabbed the curtain and pulled it all the way to the side. Ah! I screamed at the top of my lungs. There, in my real bathtub, was a real zombie. His face in green. His lips were green, and his body was covered in torn rags. He let out a long, low moan. Hank, he groaned over and over. Hank. I almost jumped out of my pajamas without even unbuttoning them. I opened my mouth to scream, and nothing came out. Well, something came out. It was a little chunk of last night's dinner. I wasn't going to stay around long enough to clean it up. I turned on my heels and bolted for the hall. Zip, a familiar voice said. It's just me, Frankie. Frankie! I wheeled around to look at him. Did they get you? Are you okay? The zombies? Frankie laughed and stood up in the bathtub. It's just me in my Halloween costume, he answered. I had it in my bag, so I thought I'd test it out for trick-or-treating tonight. Looks like it works. I want to tell Frankie that his little test had scared me so much my whole forehead had broken out in a cold sweat. But I was ashamed to admit that. So the zombie movie had gotten to me that badly. Tell the truth, Frankie said, climbing out of the bathtub. I had you believing I was a real zombie, didn't I? No way, I answered, using my coolest voice. I knew it was you all along. I heard small feet stomping down the hall, then a hiss. It could only be Emily. No one else was in my family walks like an elephant and wears a hissing iguana around her neck like a scarf. Hi, Frankie, she said as she came into the bathroom, not even blinking at his zombie costume. Wait a minute, Emily is younger than me, and she wasn't scared for one single second by Frankie's zombiness. Hey, that's a nice word. What was wrong with me? Hank, Papa Pete's on the phone for you, Emily said. He wants to make a plan for today, although I don't get why anyone would want to spend the day with you. I'd rather spend the day with a banana peel. That was such a weird thing to say, I didn't even know how to answer her. So, instead, I just made like a banana and peeled and slid right out of there. Hanky, my boy, Papa Pete said. I could hear the smile in his voice. How's your throwing arm today? Are you in the mood to go to the park and have a little pre-trick-or-treat catch? Sure, Papa Pete, but I had a bad night sleep, so I don't know how good I'll be. You don't have to be good. We're just trying to have fun together. I've got my karate class this morning, so I'll come by after lunch. Okay, I said. Then, just before I hung up, I added, Papa Pete, you don't think there are going to be any zombies in the park, do you? Zombies? He sounded surprised at my question. Yeah, like, the Living Dead kind of zombies. The ones whose faces hang off their chins. Oh, those zombies, he said, with a laugh. Well, you never know. There might be one or two around, but if we don't yell, they won't bother us. I hear they're attracted to noise. I hung up the phone and gulped. I think Papa Pete was kidding, but then again, he did say, you never know. When I went back to my room, Frankie was folding up his costume and getting ready to go home. So, Zip, he said, are you still going as a kitchen sink tonight? I can lend you my plastic faucet that sticks on your forehead with a suction cup. It came with my magic set. I just changed my mind. I'm going as a zombie fighter. What exactly is that? A guy who fights zombies. Using what exactly? I don't know yet. As soon as you leave, I'm going in the kitchen to put together my anti-zombie gear. Frankie left and I got busy. I went through every drawer and cabinet picking out anything that looked like it could be used for protection against a zombie attack. An egg beater, a couple of wooden spoons, a clump of garlic to wear around my neck, a frying pan. I used the belt of my terry cloth robe to hang all the anti-zombie gear around my waist. As a final touch, I wrapped my chest in tinfoil so a zombie couldn't detect my body heat. I checked my costume out in the mirror. If I do say so myself, I looked very prepared and even a little bit scary. A guy most zombies wouldn't want to meet. Not that there's any such thing as zombies, of course. Chapter 6. After lunch, I threw on my Mets baseball sweatshirt actually, and went downstairs to wait for Papa Pete. I should mention here that I also put on pants and sneakers. I don't want you to think I'm just standing around the lobby in only a sweatshirt. Papa Pete arrived with 2 black and white cookies for us, and we set out for Riverside Drive Park. I tucked my baseball glove under my arm while I ate the chocolate part of the cookie first. By the time we reached the park and the only thing left was the icing on my fingers, we found a place on the grass right next to the basketball court. Papa Pete tossed me the ball and I caught it. No problem. It wasn't hard because I was really close to him. Back up, Hank, he said after a few minutes. I'm going to toss you some heat. Not too fast, Papa Pete, I said. being careful to keep my voice down. You know my eyes and my hands are not always friends. Why are you whispering? He asked me. Oh, no reason. I shrugged. This wouldn't be anything to do with, zombies, could it? He raised one eyebrow. I laughed. A little too hard. Okay. Way too hard. You've got to be kidding me, I said. Papa Pete nodded. I think he knew what I was really scared of. Papa Pete always knows everything about me. Well, we're here to have fun, so let's do it, he said. Just back up a little more, Hank. Every couple of throws, you can pick up another step. Pretty soon, you'll be catching and throwing like a major leaguer. We tossed the ball back and forth. I dropped some of the balls. To be honest, I dropped most of them. But Papa Pete didn't mind. He just smiled and said, "Good try." I took another few steps back and Papa Pete threw me a real smoker. He has a good arm for a grandpa. Just as I stretched up in the air to catch it, I heard a mean-sounding voice shout, "I got this one, zipperbutt!" From out of the nowhere, Nick McKelty had zoomed right in front of me. Where he'd come from? Who knows? He held his claw-like hand up in the air and snatched the ball just before it reached my glove. That's how you catch a ball. Ding dong, he snarled. "Excuse me, young man," Papa Pete called to him. "My grandson and I are having a game of catch here." "You call this having a game of catch?" McKelty snickered. "I call it tossing around a meatball." "Who brought you here?" Papa Pete asked, giving Nick a stern eye. "My dad. We just came from checking out his new bowling alley. It's going to have 150 lanes. Oh, and did I mention the balls glow a million different colors? It's so bright you can bowl in the dark." "Are you sure you're not making some of this up?" Papa Pete asked him. I watched. I wanted to blurt out that McKelty was nothing but a big bully and a liar, but I didn't want to raise my voice in case of zombies. "I've heard about this new bowling alley," Papa Pete said. "In fact, I've been looking forward to starting a bowling league in the neighborhood. Maybe I'll go discuss it with your father." "My dad's over there on the basketball court," McKelty said. "He's the one making all the slam dunks. Actually, he's the short guy who keeps dropping the ball," I told Papa Pete. "Why don't you two boys toss the ball around while I talk to your dad?" Papa Pete said. "I'll be back before you can say, 'Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers.'" "Why would I want to say that?" McKelty said. Obviously, the big lug had never heard of Mother Goose. Papa Pete walked over to the basketball court. Basketball court. Instead of backing up for a catch, McKelty came really close to my face and flashed me a crooked smile. "So, Zipperhead, you almost wet your pants last night, didn't you? I don't know what you're talking about, Nick. I saw you cover your eyes during the attack of the zombies. You were so scared, I thought you were going to cry. I bet you had zombie dreams last night too. Who told you that? I frowned, making my voice sound angry, like my dad does when he looks at my report cards. I know these things, McKelvey said. You don't know anything, I insisted. I wasn't scared. That's good, Zipper Butt, because I wouldn't want you to be afraid of this old zombie sitting on the bench over there. My eyes darted to the park bench. A very wrinkled man was sitting there, eating a brown banana. A large bandage covered one eye and part of his face. That's One-Eyed Gilbert, McKelvey whispered in my ear. The bandage is holding his face on. If you take it off, his eyeballs will fall out and his cheek slides right over his face. The man's face did seem kind of gray and loose. I didn't want to believe McKelvey, but I could feel myself shivering, and it wasn't even cold out. He's getting ready for tonight, McKelvey went on. The zombies always come out on Halloween. When they catch you, they bite you, and then you turn into one of them. Everyone? I asked. He nodded. Everyone they can catch. They especially like old people. They always go for them first. A woman pushing a baby stroller walked by. The baby was crying. See that baby? McKelvey whispered. I happen to know his real name is Meatbag, but they call him Zoms for short. He's a baby zombie. Their bite is the worst. Their little baby teeth are sharp as knives. Before I could answer, the baby picked up his bottle and threw it right at me. It hit me in the elbow. Oh no, he's tagged you, McKelvey whispered. You had better watch out. And watch out for that grandpa of yours too. He's an easy target. He's old. The baby's mom asked if I would pick up the bottle and hand it to her. I didn't want to touch it, just in case it had zombie cooties. So I picked up a stick and shoved the bottle towards her. Where are your manners? She said. I didn't answer her. I couldn't. I was busy staring at her zombie baby. She picked up the bottle herself and quickly pushed the stroller away from us. I looked around for Papa Pete. He was just leaving the basketball court and walking over to us. Careful, Nick the Tick said, pointing to a skinny black dog that was lying under a nearby tree. You don't want to go near him. Zombie dogs are bad news. Zombie dogs? I didn't know there were such a thing, I heard myself saying. They're the worst. They don't care what kind of brains they eat. Squirrel, spider. I bet the guy is just about to pounce on the next squirrel he sees. Suddenly, the dog jumped to its feet and started to bark at a little squirrel in the tree. I could see his black gums and sharp teeth. "It's okay, boy," I tried to whisper, but my voice cracked with fear. The dog turned to me, and his bark changed into a growl, a low growl that sounded like a moan, a zombie moan. I started to shake all over. Chapter 7. By the time Papa Pete reached me, I was totally frozen with fear. "Whoa there, Hanky," he said, throwing his big strong arm on my shoulder. "What is going on with you today?" That dog," I stammered. He wants to eat spider brains, or squirrels, or maybe even me." "Oh, you mean Dexter?" Papa Pete said. "No way. He just lives to relax under the tree and bark at the squirrels. He's here every day." As Papa Pete talked, I noticed that the dog had stopped barking. I let myself turn around and look at him. He wasn't chasing me. In fact, his tail was wagging. I looked at McKelty, who had a huge grin on his thick face. "You lied," I said to him. "That dog wasn't a zombie." "Oh yeah?" he whispered. "Just wait until dark and his eyes start to glow. You'll see what I mean." With that, McKelty walked toward the basketball court. "Now, what is this all about?" Papa Pete asked. I opened my mouth, and all my fear came out in one giant wave of words. McKelty said that tonight there's going to be a huge zombie invasion, and that Meatbag is going to attack you, Papa Pete. What if zombies take over the city? What if they live in our building? What if they're in my bed right now, just waiting for me to come home? Papa Pete held up his hand. "Okay, hold on. Let's take a deep breath and just slow down here," he said. "First of all, zombies are make-believe. They don't really exist, except in movies and stories and on TV. But Papa Pete," I argued. "Nick McKelty pointed out 3 zombies right here in the park. One guy's face was being held on with a Band-Aid." Papa Pete looked at me and scratched his chin. "I can see that I'm not going to talk you out of this very easily," he said. "So, I have a wonderful idea. Let's go to the library." "Great idea," I said. "I'll bet libraries are zombie-free zones. It's probably hard for them to read when their eyeballs are sliding out." "Boy, oh boy, your imagination really flies," Papa Pete said. "But I have a cure for that." "Do I take it with a spoon?" "Nope, it's called facts. Hanky, the best cure for fear is to have the facts. Nothing but the facts. I say let's go to the library and look up zombies. I think real facts will calm you down and make you feel better." I held Papa Pete's hand tight. We left the park and headed up 78th Street, past the apartment building. At Amsterdam Avenue, we turned left and walked 2 blocks to the library. "I love this place," Papa Pete said, holding the big wooden door open for me. "It's got the delicious smell of books." "I like the smell of books too," I said. I just wish they weren't so hard for me to read. It's fun to check them out with my library card, but then I get home, they scare me. Which reminds me, can we look up zombies, please? Right now. Papa Pete walked me up to the desk where a woman was sitting on a high stool wearing a t-shirt that said, "Open a book, open your mind." In front of her was a sign that read, "Miss Lopez, head librarian." "Excuse me, Miss Lopez," Papa Pete said in his quiet library voice. "Can you help us find some information about zombies?" "Of course I can," she answered. "They don't call me info to go for nothing, you know." "Follow me." She took us to the research section on the second floor. "You can find the history of zombies in the encyclopedia," she said. "Would you like to read that on the computer screen or in the actual book?" "My grandpa says that books smell delicious," I said, "so I'll go for the book." Miss Lopez pulled out the Z volume of the encyclopedia and put it on the reading table. She opened it to zombie and then turned to Papa Pete. "While your grandson is reading, is there something special I can help you find?" "Well, I was just thinking about starting a bowling league. Do you happen to have the official bowling league handbook?" "Of course. It's in the sports section." "Let me show you." "Hanky, I'll be back." 2 shelves over in the sports section, Papa Pete said. "Call if you want me." Then they left. I looked down at the small print on the encyclopedia page. There were so many words there, all a smudge. They looked like little fish swimming around in a tank of water. But I was going to find the truth about zombies, I had to start somewhere. No one was watching me, so I used my finger to follow every word across the page. I began to read. The word zombie, first used in 1819 in Brazil, the letter said. I was doing fine reading until the last word, the one that started with a capital B. I couldn't sound it out. What could it be? Bug Hill? That didn't make sense. Bugs don't use words. Maybe it was Bad Bill? I wondered if he was a zombie. Okay, Hank, I thought to myself, you're not getting that B word, so let's just go to the next sentence. Moving my fingers under each word, I read this. According to experts, there is evidence that zombies exist. Oh, I didn't remember to read that either. Wait, what? What did that say? It said that zombies exist? In other words, they're real. Right there in the black and white on the page, in the actual encyclopedia, in the New York Public Library, it said that zombies are real. With shaking hands, I slammed the book shut. I could feel my cheeks start to burn and my throat close up. I wanted to call out for Papa Pete. I opened my mouth and screamed, "Help!" But only a little squeak came out, more like a eek, I'm guessing. I looked around the room and everyone else was just sitting there reading their books. Like everything was normal. I was the only one who knew that tonight the real live zombie invasion was coming. Chapter 8. 8 things I decided to do to prepare for the zombie invasion by Hank Zipser. 1. Move to the moon. Oh, wait. There's no air there. Number 2. Move to Mars. Oh, wait. There's no air there either. Number 3. Move to France. Oh, wait. I don't know the French word for black and white cookie. Number 4. Move to the North Pole. Oh, wait. My winter jacket is at the dry cleaners. Number 5. Move to Hawaii. Oh, wait. Emily wants to go there, so I'd have to take her. Forget that. Number 6. Move Cheerio and me to the basement. Oh, wait. That's the first place the zombies would look. Number 7. Hide under the couch in the living room. Oh, wait. There's so much dust under there, I'd sneeze and give myself away. Number 8. Face it, Hank. You're toast. Chapter 9. Papa Pete was in a great mood when he returned with Ms. Lopez. This trip to the library has been very successful, he said. I now know more about bowling leagues than any human should. How about you, Hank? Did you learn the truth about zombies? I sure did, I said. See what I told you? He patted me on the shoulder. Knowing the facts is the best way not to be afraid. He said goodbye to Ms. Lopez, and we walked downstairs and out the door onto Amsterdam Avenue. I was completely silent. You're probably wondering why I didn't tell Papa Pete the real truth I learned about zombies. This is why. I love Papa Pete more than anyone in the world, and I knew that zombies went for old people first. It was going to be up to me to protect him. I hadn't figured out how to do that just yet, so I decided to keep quiet until I figured out a plan. The last thing I wanted was to scare him too. When Papa Pete dropped me off at my apartment, I said to him, "Keep your phone close, okay?" "Why?" "I'm going to need to talk to you in a little while." "Oh, you've got a secret, do you?" Papa Pete said with a wink. I love secrets. He wasn't going to love this one, that's for sure. "Oh, and Papa Pete," I added, "you might want to practice some of your karate moves. They could come in handy." "This gets more interesting by the minute," he said. Then he gave me one of his giant hugs and headed for home. When I walked into my living room, my parents were busy helping Emily into her Halloween costume. She was in a really bad mood because her tail had fallen off. "I told you that we put too many scales on it," my dad was telling her. The costume just couldn't take the weight. "Fine," Emily snapped. "Then I'm not going trick-or-treating." "Don't be silly, honey," my mom said. "You wait all year for this night." "A Komodo dragon without a tail is like a pizza without cheese," she said, and stomped her clawed foot so hard that one of the toenails fell off too. "Hank," my mom said, "maybe you can talk Emily into going out trick-or-treating with you and your friends. I don't want her to miss a good time. I think I'll stay home too, I said. You know how I always want to support my little sister. When did that start happening? My dad asked. A minute ago. What's up with you, Hank? Emily asked. You seem weird. Me? Nothing's up with me. I was just thinking that what we should do tonight is call Papa Pete and have him come over. Once he's inside the apartment, we lock all the doors and windows and don't turn on any water faucets. We'll have a fun family night, just us, locked inside. Oh, and if we want to have an even better time, we could shove the couch over to block the front door. My mom and Dad and Emily all stared blankly at me, but before anyone could answer, the doorbell rang. Nobody open that, I whispered. Of course we're going to open that, my mom said. It's probably Frankie and Ashley. They called a few minutes ago to say they'd meet you here to go out trick-or-treating. But how do you know it's them and not some creepy zombies? I blurted out. My father had already reached the door and opened it. Standing there was a creepy zombie, his eyes half closed and his arms reaching out to me. Hank, the zombie moaned. I knew that voice. It was Frankie. Standing behind him was Ashley. At least, I think it was Ashley. Either that, or a giraffe wearing a really sparkly necklace had just walked into my apartment. Frankie, I said, you can't just come in here and scare me like that. Why not, Zip? It's Halloween. We're supposed to be scary. How will I be able to tell you from the real zombie? Frankie laughed. Wow, my costume must be really good. Now hurry up, Zip. You're not even in your costume yet. We're going to miss all the best candy, Ashley added. I don't think we should go trick-or-treating in this building, I said. I think we should head right over to Papa Pete's. Oh, is there better candy in his building? Ashley asked. Yes, I said. That's exactly the reason. Actually, the real reason was I wanted to get to Papa Pete to protect him. But we'll miss the full-size chocolate bars in 3B. They always run out first, Frankie reminded me. Frankie was right, so I went along with it. Give me a minute, I said. I have to make an important phone call first. I ran into the kitchen, picked up the phone, and dialed Papa Pete's number. From memory. It's the only one I never get wrong. Papa Pete, I said when I heard his voice. We're coming to you right away. It's not safe for you to be there by yourself. Hanky, he said, you're not still worried about zombies, are you? I thought that was the reason we went to the library. Yeah, I never told you what I learned at the library in the encyclopedia. It said that Hanky, Papa Pete interrupted. There's my doorbell. It must be my first trick-or-treater. Come in, I heard him call out. No! I hollered into the phone. Don't let anyone in. Lock your door. Papa Pete wasn't listening. I heard him laughing and say, what are you supposed to be? Oh, a bumblebee, princess. That's so clever. Then, speaking into the phone, he said to me, Hanky, come whenever you want, but I have to go now. I've got a plastic pumpkin full of candy to hand out over here. Click. Just like that, the phone went dead. I didn't even have time to tell him that the zombies were going after him first. That did it. I had no choice. I was going to have to get trick-or-treating in our building over with as fast as possible. Then I'd make everyone trick-or-treat all the way over to Papa Pete's apartment building. I couldn't let myself be stopped by the zombie invasion. I had to save Papa Pete. Chapter 10. As I hung up the phone, the door to the kitchen swung open and Frankie stuck his head in. We really have to go, Zip. Do you need help with your costume? Actually, I do. I can tie on my anti-zombie gear, but I could use some help with the tinfoil. Okay, Frankie said, raising his eyebrow. I'm your tinfoil man. I took out the tinfoil. I took out the terry cloth robe belt that was all the stuff hanging on it for my costume and put it around my waist. Then I went into the second drawer under the sink where my mom keeps the tinfoil, sandwich bags, and stuff like that. I pulled out the roll of tinfoil and handed it to Frankie. Wrap me up, I said. You pull the tinfoil off the roll and I'll turn. Don't stop until I'm completely wrapped up like a hot dog at a Mets game. My idea was that if no zombie could pick up my body heat, they would pass me right by. I wasn't sure if it would work, but it was worth a try. Anything to get safely to Papa Pete's. Frankie and I worked quickly. In a few minutes, I was wrapped in tinfoil from head to foot, except for my nose and mouth and eyes. Actually, you look pretty cool, Frankie said, standing back to admire his work. Let's go ring some doorbells. Okay, I said, but we have to hurry so we can get to Papa Pete's soon. What's the rush? Frankie asked. Afraid they'll run out of candy in his building? You never know, I answered. I hurried into the living room. You could hear the tinfoil crinkle as I took each step. Emily let out a huge laugh when she saw me. What are you supposed to be? A tuna sandwich in a lunch bag? Can we just go? I snapped. Okay, I've decided to go with you, Emily said. Even my broken dragon costume doesn't look as bad as yours. I'll come with you, kids, my dad said. Mom will stay here to hand out candy. Oh, I don't believe in unhealthy snacks, my mom said. I'm handing out little boxes of raisins. Normally, I would have told my mom that raisins are for putting in the cereal and not for Halloween treats. But I was in a rush to get going. I said, "Great idea, Mom, and please check to make sure everyone you open the door for is actually alive." We left the apartment and went across the hall. The first doorbell we rang was apartment 10B, where Dr. James Watson and his family lived. The Watsons had just moved in a couple weeks before, so we didn't know him very well. Trick or treat? Emily growled, trying to sound like what a Komodo dragon would sound like if it spoke English. Trick or treat? Frankie and Ashley chimed in. Oh my, Dr. Watson said as he opened the door. What have we here? A zombie, a sparkly giraffe, a roll of tinfoil, and a dragon with a missing tail. Emily looked down on the floor and saw that her tail had completely fallen off once again. She burst into tears, picked up her tail, and stomped back toward our apartment. I'll go with her and do an emergency repair, my dad said. You kids stay on this floor until I'm back. Dr. Watson held out a bowl of candy. It was filled with whole candy bars, not the fun-size ones. Ashley and Frankie started to sort through all the different candy bars to pick their favorite out. Hurry up, guys, I whispered. We have to move faster than this. A little boy in a Superman cape and red rain boots came running to the door. Look, Daddy, he said, pointing at me. He looks like a sandwich in my lunchbox. That he does, Luke, Dr. Watson agreed. Have you kids met my son, Luke? I'm not Luke. I'm Super Luke, he said. Well, Super Luke, I said to him. Just so you know, I am not something you eat. I am a zombie-detecting robot. Luke's eyes flew wide. Zombies? Luke screamed. I hate zombies! And he ran as fast as he could back into his apartment. I had better go now, Dr. Watson said, closing the door on us. Thanks for coming by, kids. Boy, did I know how little Super Luke felt. I hated zombies too. All of a sudden, I heard the elevator ding as it moved onto our floor. I stepped in front of the Frankie and Ashley. Hide behind me, I whispered. It might be them. Who? Ashley whispered back. Shh! Say nothing. The elevator door creaked as it slid open. I held my breath and waited to see who was coming out. Please don't be a zombie, I thought. It wasn't a zombie. At least, it wasn't one we could see. No one was in the elevator. Then, why did it come to our floor? Was it them sending us a message? Meatbag the baby zombie coming to find me? The elevator door slid shut. That was creepy, I whispered. Zip. It was just an empty elevator. Frankie said. I bet the robot upstairs from the 4th floor pushed every button. He's the kind of kid who'd think that was funny. Ashley had already rung the doorbell of the apartment 10C. Mrs. Fink, a very nice old lady, lives there. The door flew open, and out of it burst a bright green face and a deep hole where the mouth should be. There was no lips. There were no teeth. Just loose skin the color of green slime. Hello, kids, the face cackled It almost sounded like Mrs. Fink, but I knew it wasn't. She had been turned into a zombie. McKelty was right. They were going for the old people first. Run, I screamed. Run? Frankie said. But she's got Tootsie Rolls. I grabbed Frankie by the arm and yanked him toward the door of my apartment. You too, Ashley, I screamed. But that horrible green zombie eats your brains. I was already banging on the door of our apartment, wildly turning the knob, trying to get the door open. Help, Mom! I yelled. Open the door! But it was too late. The slimy green hand touched my shoulder, and the creature pulled me towards her. And then the scary, awful zombie let a wicked laugh. Chapter 11. The door to our apartment opened just in time. I had never been so glad to see my mom's face. I broke free from the zombie and zoomed inside like I had a jetpack on my back. Frankie, Ashley, get in here, I yelled. And, Mom, slam the door, quick! But my mom wasn't fast enough, and the green-faced zombie followed us into the living room. This was it. I had no choice. It was time for me to be brave. Stop right there, I said, stepping in front of my family and friends and spreading my tinfoil arms in front of me. I am a zombie fighter. Take one step further and I'll have to use my powers to melt you into a green puddle. Hank, my mom said, that's no way to talk to Mrs. Fink. But Mom, can't you see? That's not really Mrs. Fink anymore. She's been taken over by zombies. Just look at her. Oh, Mrs. Fink said, reaching out to touch my arm. I think I understand the problem. Don't get near me, she warned her. Don't get near me, I warned her. You can't eat my brain. It's off limits. I'm not a zombie, honey, she said. I promise. Then why is your face green? I was just having some Halloween fun. So I covered my face with my avocado face cream. Oh, really? Then where have your teeth gone? They're in a glass on the sink. Maybe you didn't know, but I wear false teeth. I'm so sorry that I scared you. Mrs. Fink, my mom said, I'm not embarrassed about the way I'm so embarrassed about the way Hank spoke to you. If you'll excuse us, I'll have a word with him. Mrs. Fink winked at me as she left, and a big glob of green slime slid off her face onto her shoe. Don't forget to come back for a Tootsie Roll, she said to all three of us as she left our apartment. My mom looked me right in the eye. What is all this about, Hank? She asked. I think I know, Mrs. Zipser, Ashley said. Ever since last night's movie, Hank has been worried about zombie invasions. We thought he was just kidding, Frankie said, but now we see he wasn't. This is silly, Hank, my mom said. There's no such thing as zombies. They are made up. Oh yeah, I said. Then how come it says in the encyclopedia at the library that zombies do exist. I read it. Right on the page, it said, according to experts, there is evidence that zombies exist. My mom nodded her head. I think I understand what's happening here, she said slowly. Isn't it true, sweetie, that reading is very hard for you, and sometimes you add words to what's on the page, or leave words out? I guess that's true, Mom. So I suggest we all go to the computer and look up zombies again. We'll give it another reading. Frankie, Ashley, and I followed my mom to the dining room table where she sat down in front of her laptop. She typed in some words. In just a few seconds, the encyclopedia page about zombies popped up. It was the same page that was in the book I read earlier. Frankie leaned toward the screen and read the first sentence out loud. The word zombie, first used in 1819 in Brazil, he read. Oh, that's what that word was, I said. Brazil. Well, that makes much more sense than Bad Bill. Frankie continued reading. According to the experts, there is no evidence that zombies exist. Wait a minute, I said. Where do you see the word no? It's right here, Zip, he said, pointing to the word on the screen. Do you think it was there this whole time? I asked. Yes, I do. There was a long silence as I thought about that. So, I've been scared of a zombie invasion this whole time because I skipped over a single word? Frankie and Ashley and my mom all nodded. For some reason, I felt like I was going to cry. Why couldn't I read like Frankie and Ashley? At that moment, I really didn't like my brain. Why didn't it work like everyone else's? Ashley put one hand of her giraffe hooves on my shoulder. You'll catch on to this reading thing, Hank, she said. In the meantime, Frankie and I are here to help. Does this mean we can go out trick-or-treating now, Frankie said? Because there's a whole lot of candy out there with our names on it. For the first time in 24 hours, I was able to smile. I was safe. My parents and Emily were safe. And, best of all, Papa Pete was safe. Let's do it, I said. My dad came out of Emily's room. Ladies and gentlemen, giraffes and zombies, may I have your attention, please? He said in his circus announcer voice. Introducing the world's only Komodo dragon with an upside-down tail. Emily, if you please. My sister came out of her bedroom looking very happy with herself. Her tail had been stapled back on, and this time the tip of it was pointing right up to the ceiling. A string tied to the top of her dragon head. The string was all my idea, she said, proudly. This tail will stay on for weeks. I might even wear it to school one day. Nothing weird about that, I said. Remind me not to walk to school with you Monday morning. So, my dad said, going to the front door, are we all ready for some trick-or-treating? We all cheered and headed across the living room. Then we heard it, a frightened scream coming from the hall. "Don't eat my head," the voice wailed. "Please? Mrs. Zombie, I'll do anything you want." The voice was so familiar. "Isn't that?" Ashley said. "I think it is," Frankie nodded. I pulled open the door. Kneeling in our hallway was a kid dressed as a hockey player, holding up his stick to protect himself from a green-faced Mrs. Fink. The zombie. He had a big face and a thick neck and huge wad of red licorice stuck between his teeth. That's right, it was tough guy Nick McKelty, shaking and whining like a 2-year-old. Sorry, the braille on the back cover is kind of mangled. I burst out laughing. Somebody should get that guy. There's no such a... Someone should tell that guy there's no such thing as zombies. Chapter 12. 3 things I learned from this Halloween by Hank Zipser. 1. Brazil is a country. 2. Tootsie Rolls are hard to get out of your teeth. And 3. Zombies do not really exist. And 4. Oops. I was only supposed to do 3. Sorry. The end. Well, that's a wrap on that one. Hopefully the camera didn't die this time and we're good to go. So in case we don't get back with another installment, Merry Christmas everybody, or Happy Holidays, or whatever it is you do. And hopefully everyone's, safe and healthy and has a good Christmas, or again, whatever it is you do. So Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year, and here's to a better 2021.
Voiceover on. YouTube. Camera chooser. Stop recording. Button.